Hey guys, welcome to this video titled Brick and Mortar Store versus Online Store. So the purpose of making this video is I want to make it really clear that making an online store, especially a high-ticket dropshipping business, is much better than having a brick and mortar store, especially if you want to live a lifestyle of travel. So let's get into all the reasons why you want to start an online store versus choosing to start a brick and mortar store. So brick and mortar stores generally have a much higher startup cost. The stores themselves cost money just to rent out, and then it costs money to fill that store with all sorts of merchandise and equipment and inventory, and then you have to paint it, you have to pay for insurance, and you have to pay for heating and cooling and all these different things that you might not think of when you first think of doing a brick and mortar store, but it can cost into the tens, even the hundreds of thousands of dollars. When we tried to do a store back in mid 2014, it ended up costing us close to $30,000 to start up that store. A web-based online store, on the other hand, costs much less than that. You can really build and launch an online store for under $100. If you want to build a really optimized one, it costs a few $100s, maybe even up into the $1,000 range or so. But you can just pretty much build a store for under $100 these days. It's really easy. Now, as far as long-term obligations go, it really does typically require at least a 3 to 5 year lease on a physical brick and mortar store. Sometimes you can get away with less. We did when we first started. We were able to find a lease that was only a year and a half, but that was because it wasn't a fully retail store. It was more like a warehouse mixed space. Now, most leases are 3 to 5 years long term, so you are stuck. A web-based online store literally has no financial commitment. You can pay monthly and cancel any month if you decide not to keep that particular niche store. So that's way better. As far as monthly overhead goes, yeah, it usually does cost several $1,000s per month to maintain a brick and mortar store. That's not to say that a web-based online store won't cost the same amount, but that same amount of spend will go into your marketing, not to maintain the back end of your store, the overhead of your store. The overhead of your online store, in the very beginning, might only cost you around $50 a month, typically less. And as you start getting going, you're paying more hosting and app fees and stuff like that. It might cost a few $100s, but after a while, that will turn into mostly marketing spend, and yeah, that's all going to be towards getting orders. Now, brick and mortar stores, you're going to have to pay $1,000 a month, several $1,000s per month, plus on top of that, you have to pay for marketing. Now, your break-even point with a brick and mortar store can definitely be much higher. It really does require hundreds of sales a month just to break even, whereas with a web-based online store, it can only take 1 to 2 sales per month to break even. It depends on how high ticket your store is. Generally speaking, though, I would say probably 10 to 15, and that's not only to break even, but also to see some sort of an income. And once you get into 30 orders per month range, you're starting to see a nice full part-time to full-time income from your store. Operations-wise, you'll have to hire, train, and definitely oversee several employees, like physical employees right there. Whereas on your own store, you can easily run your own store, and later on you can outsource that to virtual assistants in the Philippines, and it only costs a few bucks an hour to pay them for customer service. So that's pretty cool. Time requirement, it does typically take about 40 hours a week to run your store. Remember when we had our store, we had to be there day in, day out. It wasn't an option, especially because we didn't have any employees. We were trying to run it ourselves, and it was just a nightmare. Whereas with our online store, you can build and run an online store in your spare time. You can basically wake up whenever you want to. You can work and then, or not work. And then you just have to fulfill orders, and you have to, do the minimum requirements. And then if you want to work on your business from there, it's up to you. It's up to you how much you grow. As far as the audience size, you are limited to your local geographic market, obviously, with the physical brick and mortar store. And with a web-based online store, you're nationwide or even worldwide. So you have millions of online shoppers you can reach out to. You just have to know the correct marketing platforms to reach them. And then with your physical and brick and mortar store, your earnings potential is probably very limited because of that local geographic market. So you don't really know how much you're going to make unless you can really gauge how many people in that market are buying those products. Whereas with the online store, you have the same potential to make the same amount of income, but it's going to come from all over the place. In fact, you can scale that income as much as you want to scale your store or build more stores on top of that, right? So obviously there's way more benefits to building an online store, especially if you like to travel, especially if you don't want to have to deal with all the employees or deal with all the time it takes in order to run your store, right? So what does it take? What do you need to start a high-ticket online store? Well, the things you don't need are thousands of dollars to start up, right? So you can start up with a very low budget, which is great for most people. You'll get access to products to sell, and we teach you how to find suppliers in the e-commerce Paradise Academy. So it's not that hard, and you can get suppliers that have tons of products. You'll be able to make the connections and contacts with those suppliers quite easily, and I show you how. The web programming skills or coding skills that you think you might need to start a website aren't even required anymore. Tools like Shopify, which I use for all my stores now, provide a clean experience without any programming or coding needed. You will need to enter some little bit of code here and there to do things like trust badges and stuff like that on your website to make it look better, but I walk you through the entire process in the Academy. And as far as internet marketing experience and expertise goes, you really don't need it to start. I teach you all the stuff you need to know in order to get in there. You just need the willingness to learn and the willingness to persevere. More of the things you need are definitely a burning desire for freedom. I mean, this is going to be just an underlying reason as to why you're doing this in the first place. But you really should want to be your own boss, because if you don't have that, then you're probably not going to succeed. You're probably going to drop out. You really have to want to make your own schedule and control your own financial future. It does require some responsibility, and that is that you have to do more to organize yourself and organize your time and stay focused on things, right? But with that comes the amazing ability to do whatever it is that you want with your time, okay? So with great privilege comes great responsibility. You will need at least 3 to 4 hours a week, right, that you're willing to sacrifice to build your store. In my opinion, you might need a lot more than that, actually, especially in the beginning, because you want to really get some traction early on to see results. So I would say 3 to 4 hours a day, maybe even more. And I remember for me in the very beginning, I didn't have much time. I was going to school full time. I was working full time. So those 3 to 4 hours a day were spent early in the morning, at lunch, dinner and after work and stuff like that. Time that I was usually spending watching TV or skateboarding or going and playing basketball or watching movies. That was the time that I was spending building my online store. More time is better, honestly, because you can get moving faster and, like I said, get traction early on by getting orders earlier, and that's important. You will need a computer with internet, and a laptop is great because you can bring that to coffee shops and work. So if you find yourself getting tired in your home environment or there's distractions, then you can get into a coffee shop, which is where I work at a lot, so that you can get more focused on your work. Because working around other people that are working can definitely help. The other thing that you need is training tools and resources, which you'll get all from my academy, right? So definitely got to get in there ASAP to get started. Now, you might be asking, what is the potential of a high-ticket online store? Well, really nicely built stores have just as much potential to generate significant monthly profits as brick-and-mortar retail stores do, but with a tiny fraction of the startup capital or financial risk, and that's the beauty of it. And truly, it's a much better way to start an online business because it's not as hard as it used to be. And everybody in the world is shopping on their smartphones now, and they're going to Amazon, and they're going to Wayfair, and they're going to all these big e-commerce sites and buying all these products. You can start a niche site, and you can market that niche site in the same way that these big e-commerce stores do, and you can get the same customers. So what is the potential? Truly, your online store is available to shoppers nationwide or even worldwide, exponentially increasing your target audience. And every year, a larger and larger percentage of people are doing more and more of their shopping online. So I hope this makes sense to you guys. I really do want to help you build an online business. And yes, in the very beginning, I thought that I was going to start a brick and mortar store and be successful with it. But the truth is, it takes a special kind of person and a lot of startup capital. And you really have to get into managing employees and all this stuff. And for me, it just wasn't my thing. I really wanted to be that guy chilling on the beach in a hammock, between a couple of palm trees, sipping a pina colada, and typing things into my computer. It's what I really enjoy doing. You can do it with high-ticket dropshipping. You can do it with some other business models, but high-ticket dropshipping is one of the best ways to do it. And compared to starting a brick-and-mortar store, it's awesome. So get into the eCommerce Paradise Academy, guys. Just go to ecommerceparadise.com, click the link in the description below, and you'll get access to our free mini course called Dropship Secrets, where I go over how high-ticket dropshipping works and all the ins and outs of what it takes to run the business so you're fully prepared. And then you can go ahead and sign up for the Academy. Right now, it is under special launch pricing of $47 a month for course access or $97 a month for course plus coaching. So I highly recommend the coaching because I can help you get started one-on-one and get you in there. I hope to see you guys in the Academy very soon. Take care.